So to answer your first question, yeah, it's a weird movie, but there's a lot of weird movies that come out. I don't talk about every weird movie. I don't make a video about every movie that comes out. And this is definitely not going to be a huge hit that people care about. So why am I talking about it here? Well, I heard about this on the Nando V Movies Discord. Someone compared it to another movie that I immediately, my ears perked up and went, excuse me? Because I knew this wasn't going to work. I could see from the trailers, like nobody was excited about this. This movie is, 10 years too late. The cast is weird. The action doesn't look that amazing or anything. And, that's like, so right there, I'm not expecting this movie to make a dent. It's, being released 2 weeks after Deadpool and Wolverine. So like, yeah, they don't expect anything from it. But I saw someone compare it to Madam Web, the movie that I think I've given the most attention to this year, for better or for worse. And that got my attention. So I was like, well, this is Madam Web. Are we at Madam Web levels here with this Borderlands movie? And I think we kind of are. I don't think it's going to be as exciting. And because Borderlands is a thing I'm not super familiar with, like I said, I played 1 or 2 of the games, but I haven't played the third one for sure. And that came out in like 2019. But the other ones, like I played in college, and I used to play a lot of video games, so I don't remember the names of all the characters. The real thing with the Borderlands games was the vibe. I remember the vibe very well, and it's not a good vibe these days. I think it was a very of its time vibe, but looking back at it and like watching this movie and seeing the vibe play out, where like the little girl has a gun or bomb or something called her badonkadonk, and she asks the character to get that. You're like, oh, right, that's what like half the stuff in this game is. It's like silly names that are not fun, not incredibly clever, just like, I don't know, whatever. But so a Borderlands expert may be able to watch this movie like I watched Madam Web and say, oh, you know what? Roland probably was doing this in the original version of the movie. It's very clear that he never says this word on screen. And you know what? That explains why this guy is here. I can't do that because I don't know those things. However, I do think this movie is bizarre. A couple of points have been pointed out. One that got a lot of play on our Discord channel. Again, the Nando V Movies Discord, which I put the link to in all of these videos. They're talking about a clip where Claptrap, the robot that doesn't have a mouth and isn't a person, so it can be all added after the fact dialogue. And then you got Kate Blanchett, a real human being, standing there talking to him. They're having a regular conversation, camera on her, camera on him, camera on her, camera on him. And then he says, I can use the extranet to find her. And then camera back to her. Nothing, camera back to him, and then she says, what's the extranet? Or you have access to the extranet? Whatever it is, it's crazy. It's like, that is, but that doesn't feel like as big of a deal as much as like a studio note, like people don't know what the extranet is, so have a character ask and then another character explain it. Like, that's what that one feels like. There's other bits in this movie where I'm like, this was a whole scene that you just cut out of this movie, and I don't think it was important, but like, they don't put it in anyway. When Lilith, the main character played by Kate Blanchett, gets to the planet Pandora, where she has to go find the little kid, Tiny Tina, played by Ariana Greenblatt. So she gets this planet. There's a little bit of internal monologue and like, I went to the planet. I never wanted to go back, but here I was. And, that's fine. It comes off as a little bit like, you could just show us that. I would get it. I would go, she doesn't like being in this planet. You know why I do that? Because she doesn't like anything. This character hates everything. She's no fun. Like, God, it's so clear that what part of what they were going for here was Guardians of the Galaxy, a movie that does a very similar thing with this, ragtag bunch of heroes trying to protect the galaxy from whatever, and it's space, and it's got that kind of Star Wars plus this irreverent sense of humor. But in Guardians of the Galaxy, A, the humor is good, but B, like having Star-Lord dance in that first scene to music that we like, that is fun, and you go like, oh, this guy's fun. That's all you need. But like Lilith never has that. So, I think you could read like she doesn't like being on Pandora from her expression. But I think it would also be extra tricky because that's what you would read from everything that character ever does. But so she's doing the monologue. I don't remember the lines, but one of them is something like, I got there and then I fought a psycho, killed him. And then I got on a bus and went to do another thing. And like while that narration is going on, we see clips of Lilith fighting one psycho. Psychos are like the guys with the masks on that are on the covers of all the games. And they're like brawlers and whatever. They're dangerous. It is so clear that this was a shot from a different version of this movie, because this script has been done a million times. Apparently it was written by Eli Roth, the director, who I think, seems like a lot of this may be on his shoulders. But then also, I believe Craig Mazin, the guy that did Chernobyl, who also wrote this and Last of Us. Although, he hasn't, it's not like he's only written amazing things, but that person apparently wrote it and then went, oh, and then took his name off it. And there's what seems to be a pen name attached to this movie. So it's like Eli Roth and this other name that nobody knows this person. It's not a real person. So it's probably him. But it's so clear that scene where she fought the psycho was from a previous version of this movie. And they have changed it because everything went through so many revisions or whatever that doesn't happen anymore. She doesn't need to do that. But they still did film it. So I feel like they were like, well, we do want to put that in the trailer though. And it looks cool, kind of. So let's just have her say, I did fight a psycho once, and then just move on. Because that's what the movie does, and it's wild. Other thing I think feels like really weird editing. So they go into a tunnel, the whole team. This is when the whole team is together. And the whole team, by the way, credit where credit is due. Kate Blanchett, I don't think is doing a terrible job or anything. I just think this character's got nothing going on until the very end of the movie. It's just not a good character. Jack Black is playing annoying, but I don't think they're playing it right. I think a character like this, like a Gurr from Invader Zim, just like robot that follows you around and won't shut up, that works so frequently. But I think it's all about editing, timing, pacing. You use it, but you don't overuse it. It can be annoying to us, but it can't be so annoying to us that we don't want to watch the movie anymore. So I don't think that worked. But I don't think Jack Black was doing a bad job. I think Jack Black was fine. Same goes for Ariana Greenblatt, that plays Tiny Tina. I don't think she was doing a terrible job. I just think that the timing and the reads on all of her jokes, a lot of them at least, didn't land. Like in the trailer, there's a bit where she says, I'm going to make it rain with your body parts. It's not a great line, but the timing is good. That timing works, and it has the right, I'm going to make it rain with your body part. It rises in a way that is funny, or at least feels like a joke. Whereas a lot of the rest of the Tiny Tina line just don't. And they don't have the right. It's just like Tiny Tina says a thing, but it doesn't feel timed intentionally. So that doesn't work either. Again, that's all on Eli Roth and the editors and stuff like that. That's not, the actor's fault, especially because she's young. So direct her. Anyway, Jamie Lee Curtis, I think is maybe the least good part of this, the team member that works the least. I think the character is redundant generally. They are we meet them last. It's already pretty much a full car when a lot of this action is happening. Honestly, we could probably cut at least one, we could have either Claptrap or Tiny Tina, but we don't even need both of them. But whatever, we have them, so they're here, and we have Florian, the sword arm from Shang-Chi. He's the psycho, and he's there. He's the Groot. He's not speaking a lot. And then you have the other characters. So there's no need for Jamie Lee Curtis's character. I also don't think the characterization works. It's weird. But credit where credit is due. I think Kevin Hart's kind of good in this. And I think it's because he plays it very subdued. I've seen a lot of Kevin Hart performances where he's just yelling the whole time. And, it's a shtick that works. I'm not going to say he's never funny. But I think you go into a movie like this, like Jumanji, and you know what you're getting. But with this, it was a little surprising. They had their jokes, but they played it more like Arnold Schwarzenegger in an action movie. And yes, it's very miscast in terms of size for a Roland, but not bad. I kind of liked him. But anyway, the whole team's together. They go into a sewer. They say pretty quickly, the sewer is so acidic or whatever. The only things that can keep it are the tubes that it's in. But if we fall in the sewer, we're going to die. And that's something setting up something that's going to happen later where a character's going to use the sewer to, attack people. But that's just a little exposition. That's fine. And it's a setting thing. We're going underground and we're going to do other stuff down there, but throw that out. But there's a little bit of drama where all the characters have to cross. There's this really long, pipe where there's a little grate that they all have to stand on, but it's they have to shimmy. We've seen these in movies before. And it's if it breaks, then they're all going to die. There's a bit where Tiny Tina jumps on a thing. And again, a weird line read where it's I'm the lightest, but then she almost dies and she's saved. But then I even think this might be voiceover. They pretty much just go, and then we walked over the thing. And then they do, and then they're at the next place. And it's like, we didn't need to see that. That was not important. That was really weird. And it feels the same as the other Psycho bit where it's like, why am I watching this? I could see where this tension is. This is a scene. They're on the thing and they have to jump from a thing to a thing and it's dangerous and whatever. But like they set that up and just don't do it. And yeah, it's super weird the amount of energy this movie has and doesn't have scene to scene. I do think, I mean, there's probably some really, really bad ADR here, but I'd have to see the movie again to like see it. It wasn't as bad as Madam Web, where like characters are on screen, mouths not moving, speaking words, but it's definitely weird. And I think I understand why nobody likes this movie. I don't think anything really works. I think if you're a fan of the games, you're not going to like it because it's not that much like the games because they changed all the lore and like it's not fun. Like the games are fun. You get to do the shooting in the games. I think there's shooter movies that have worked. I think the Halo show season 2 was pretty good, but like, I don't know. Fallout is a game that you play as a first-person shooter, and I think that show was good, so it can be done. So fans of the game wouldn't like it. Also, they're all much older now. Like, it's also weird how old everybody is in this movie. Like, Roland Kevin Hart, I would say, is maybe the age you would expect. Just looking at the box art, and not even playing the game, but just going, I see what this character is. Cate Blanchett seems like she's a good 20 years older than the character she's playing, at least. Jamie Lee Curtis, I think, is even further up. She's supposed to be Cate Blanchett's like surrogate mother, which is wild. And then later we see a character play a Gina Gershon that is Moxie whatever, the character that you see cosplayed at like conventions with the big boobs and stuff. And she is a much older actor. And I'm not saying that you can't do that, but it's really strange. You know, like if they never made a Spider-Man movie and then they were like, we're going to make a Spider-Man movie and like, ooh, and they cast like John Hamm as Spider-Man, I think we'd all be a little confused. We wouldn't mean the movie's automatically bad, but we'd be like, where are these choices coming from? I've always wanted to see him be young. He's usually young. I don't think he's ever been this old. And I think there's a version of this movie where it's a take on that, where they come back to Borderlands, they come back to Pandora, having already done all the adventures from the game, but like something comes back and like, you know, there's a new stone to unturn, but all the things from the game have happened, so they have all this other baggage. Like, I don't love it, but it could be done. That could work. But that's not what this is. It's really interesting why some of the games, like Tiny Tina is supposed to be like 15 or whatever, and she's played by an actor who's around that age. Like, I don't know, man. It's weird. I know this movie was like, I think they shot this during COVID or whatever, or like after, you know, but like around that time. So I'm sure people's schedules were wide open. I don't know. I don't think anybody would like this. Like I said, people that like the game wouldn't like it because it's not that much like the game. And people that don't like the game or have no opinion of the game will be bored by it because the jokes aren't that funny and it's not incredibly good looking. Like there aren't sick action scenes, so you know there's really nothing for you. I think I'll give this movie a look when it comes out on, you know, VOD in a week and a half or whatever, because I would like to see if this has some really weird ADR. But like I said, I don't really know enough about the Borderlands-verse to be able to put together everything, like figure out what this bad guy originally was, because it does not feel possible that it was the character that it is. But you know, whatever. So all that being said, the movie's not good. Don't watch it. But watch videos about it, I guess. That's what you're doing now. So that means do more of that. People have interesting takes on it. Watch scenes out of context. I don't know. You can watch it, put it on, see how you feel. But I don't know. There's other movies you can watch. There's other books you can do. There's cleaning you've got to do in your house. You know, there's chores you've been putting off. There's people you haven't called in a while, probably. They would love to hear from you. Don't take your time watching a Borderlands movie. Do those things instead. You know? Call people. People like a phone call. Play with your pet. You know? Sometimes pets like to sit on your lap, but sometimes they like to play. They like some activity. Take however long this movie is, like whatever, an hour and a half or something, and just play with your animal. Have a fun, memorable time with them. Make a scrapbook. Do a craft. You know? Count to as high as you can count in an hour and a half. And then you'll at least be able to tell people. People go, why'd you do that? I just want to see if I could. And you know what? That's something. That's something, you know? Way to go. But yeah, don't watch this movie because it's not very good. All right. Bye, everybody.